Good Tuesday morning to you. My name is Sutton Turner, COO of Vanderbloemen, here with Rene Cargile, and who is our head of finance and all things of PPP spreadsheets and calculations. So Rene, who does not like to do these, has been so gracious to join me today. So I appreciate you joining me, Rene. How are you?
I'm great. This is awesome. I'm glad that we finally have some clarity and we can help some people through this.
Yes, we do. Well, so Rene and I are joining you today because on Saturday we received 10 pages. Yeah, 10 pages of an application that 11 total pages of an application. And when I received it on Saturday, I quickly read through it, kind of quickly, just kind of skimmed it, and then realized that I didn't want to tackle this until late on Sunday night because it's a lot. And I'm sure that if you are opening the PPP application for the first time, you're overwhelmed. And so Rene and I are here to try to guide you, help you as much as we can through this application process. And so one of the things that Rene has been working on for the last 2 days is a spreadsheet that will help you fill out the application. And I've also included a link and a lot of information to the slides. So I'm going to share my screen real quick, and we're going to go to these slides real quick. So if you don't have a set of these slides, you need to go to churchcovid19.com, churchcovid19.com, or schoolcovid19.com, and you will be able to find these slides. Within these slides is an overview of what Rene and I have been working on today. And so it's got all of the latest, and I'm updating this. So you see the forgiveness application here on this page where it's the link. So you can link to it. You can draw this down. But I'm going to go all the way back to the back. And a lot of the clarity that we got during this, with this application kind of confirms what Rene and I and Holly and many others have been telling you all. However, there are a couple of things that we want to make sure that you clearly understand. So we're going to go over that today. And then we're also going to set you up with expectations on the application and what we think that you should do as far as the application. So let's go to the filling out of the application part. And we've created, actually, Rene has created this awesome spreadsheet that's going to help you populate this form. Now, this form, if you start reading it, it's like the final exam is at the very beginning, and the first couple of classes that you need to take for the final exam are in the last. So you actually need, and we're going to walk you through this application in reverse order than what you see in the application, because this application is built from other spreadsheets that Rene has put and that has made available for you on churchcovid19.com and schoolcovid19.com, made available for you. So we're going to start and we're going to walk through this in a general standpoint. And then this upcoming Thursday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, Rene and I are going to go through in super detail the spreadsheet, and we're going to answer a bunch of your questions. So that's number one, what we created a new spreadsheet. And then there is some of the changes are this additional 8-week period. And so we've already had the 8-week period, 56 days, beginning when the church funds are received into our account. However, 8 weeks now, beginning the first day of the pay period following the PPP disbursement. So Rene, any point on this as far as like payroll and like when it hits? Can you help me describe this?
So if you received your money like on the 8th of April and your payroll comes out on the 15th, that you can begin your 8 weeks beginning the 15th with that payroll. So you're going to get a few more payrolls in there than you would if it stopped on like June 3rd. you wouldn't be able to include that 15th payroll for June 15th, but now you would be able to include that.
Right.
For that 8 weeks.
So the 8 weeks is trying to get you synced up with your payroll. And so many of you all ask Rene and I, we got disbursements on this day. However, we missed payroll by a couple of days previous to that, or we had a couple of days that was in previous payroll period in there. And now you're able to move your 8 weeks to fit exactly with your payroll cycle. So whether you're on a monthly, you're on 26 times a year, you're on 52 times a year, you're going to be able to sync this up just perfectly with your 8 weeks. Important point is this is just for your payroll costs. This does not include mortgage insurance costs, doesn't include your utilities costs, doesn't include your rent. So that is based upon the 8 weeks from your disbursement time period. So we got 2 different 8 weeks now. But I think that we will be able to handle this. Couple other things, and then we're going to hit the spreadsheets. Payroll costs, and Rene, jump in anytime you want to clarify something I'm saying wrong, because I clearly could be doing that. Payroll costs are considered paid on the day that the paychecks are distributed or ACH transaction. Payroll costs are considered incurred on the day that the employee's pay is earned. And so this is to help define us with what's incurred, what is paid, etc. Payroll costs are incurred but not paid during the payroll, the borrower's last pay period. Last pay period of the covered period are eligible for forgiveness if not paid on or before the next payroll date. So this is going to be important at the very, very end of our 8 week cycle to make sure that you're getting everything that you can included into that 8 weeks during that 8 week period.
And that's the most confusing part, I think, is the incurred. And then does that mean like my payroll's on the 15th, but I incurred the cost on the 10th and therefore I can pay it on the 15th? Yep. That's what they're talking about. So if you have a payroll that's an off-cycle payroll, especially for non-salaried employees that are hourly employees that you're paying, you're not paying them exactly, the 1st through the 15th. You're paying them up until 2 or 3 days before that payroll date. So there's going to be some of that lag period that you're going to be able to pay in the next payroll cycle.
It's good. It's good. All right. A couple other items, and then we're going to go to the spreadsheet and the idea of the spreadsheet. For non-payroll costs, the application indicates that the eligible non-payroll costs must be paid during the covered period or incurred during the covered period and paid on and before the next regular billing date, even if the billing date, it should be date, not data, and occurs after the covered period. Now, here, the next key one. I don't know how many emails I've gotten about this. Clearly is communicating to us that 75% of the dollars expended or the dollars that are going to be forgiven or your loan amount are all having to be payroll costs. 75% must be payroll costs. There's a cap on the loan forgiveness of $15,000 per employee. And this cap basically is saying you can't make over $100,000 annualized during that 8 weeks. So $100,000 salary per year, okay? If you just take 8 weeks of that, it equals this $15,000 mark. So that's the cap of the maximum that you can be forgiven on to put into payroll costs. The FTEs are based, okay, here's something that we tried to give you the best information last Thursday, but here's more clarification. FTEs are based on 40 hours per week or 1 FTE. An employee providing less than 40 hours can be accounted for by either 0.5 or a percentage of the of 1 FTE in hours. What that means is, let's say somebody's giving you 30 hours a week. Okay, so that would be 0.75 of your FTE. All right, but if you're giving somebody and anybody can be capped at 0.5. So what's important here is if there's somebody that's only giving you 10% or 10 hours a week, it's saying here in this, and then we're taking this directly out of the application, that you can enter those people as 0.5. So that's a big deal as you're trying to add up all your FTEs so that when you're doing FTE calculation. Now, this is going to be a step-by-step in the slides of what Rene has built in the spreadsheet. But what I hope to do is I'm hoping to allow you to logically go through what Rene has gone through, and so that you can see it where she is building it in a spreadsheet. I'm pulling it directly from what's in the application so that you see where it maps out. The first thing that Rene wants us to do is we need to figure out what our full-time employee, we need to either choose option 1 or option 2. The numerator is going to be our 8 weeks average FTE for both of these. The denominator is based upon the date range that we choose, either February 15th, 2019 through June 30th, 2019, or we're choosing those first 2 weeks, or first 2 months of 2020. Any comments on those, Rene?
Yeah, I was going to go back to the 40-hour work week, and we've talked about 30, we've talked about 32, but on page 7 of this application and worksheet, it clearly states divide by 40. So it's not giving you a choice of what you're going to base, so far they're not giving you a choice of what you're going to base your 40-hour work week full-time employee on. Also, it does not include overtime. We've had that question in the past as well. So you can do 40 hours plus, that's still 1 FTE. You can't use those overtime hours to increase your FTE balance on someone who's part-time. So only one person can be 1 FTE up to 40 hours a week. That's as high as you can go.
Now, what we are seeing though is you can pay bonuses as long as you're not paying over the $15,000 per employee during the 8-week period, correct?
That's what I'm seeing, and that's what I'm reading, but
I agree.
Everything can change by tomorrow.
I know, but we're trying to give them the best advice that we have.
Yes.
Okay, so step 1, we're going to calculate our FTEs. This is going to be the first tab that you see in Renee's spreadsheet. The second tab, or step 2, is all the way back on page 9. Remember I said that we're going to work this spreadsheet from back to front because the third page is basically your forgiveness application. So if you go back to page 9, the second step or the second tab that's on Renee's spreadsheet is this page 9. Now, what this is it's a listing of the employees, their employer identification number, and all you're going to do is put the last 4 digits of their social security number. You're going to put their cash compensation, your average FTE. Now, the difference between the top box and the bottom box, the difference is the top box means that those employees have an annual compensation of under $100,000. Okay. The box in the bottom talks about annual compensation over $100,000. And when people are over $100,000, there's no worry on their reduction in wage. And so what this column is, what this exercise is doing is you're calculating the salaried reduction in wage. And that's the important point on this. Anything you want to highlight?
No, not really. I mean, we've done this once before. It's just set up a little bit differently. And I think this is a great exercise just to review it and go back through it again. The same thing with the step 1. We've done that when we initially thought about borrowing funds. So now we're going to do it based upon the 8 weeks. And we're going to use this spreadsheet that I've built now to do that. So it's all in one space. So
good. All right. So step 3, we're going to do the FTE reduction in safe harbor. So what's important here to know, Rene, as far as who needs to participate in this and who doesn't?
So if you had no reduction and you'd had 0 reduction in your hourly or salary amounts for employees, you don't need to worry about this. This is one that you can just skip right through this and never look at it again. So let's hope that you are able to do that. But if not, you need to do this per employee, because Sutton, if you will go back to the slide before, that section that says salary, hourly, wage reduction, this is where you're going to get that calculation. It's based upon the next slide. So you have to calculate that for each employee that you go through. And it's pretty tedious, to be honest with you.
So every single employee that you've reduced their pay, okay, we have to go through this step 4, which is the reduction in salary and wage per employee. And so you're going to go through, and the way that now I'm showing you the way that it's in the application. I believe that Rene has done a better job of doing this in a spreadsheet so that it makes you walk through everything that Rene has put in green. Green means go. Green means you need to fill it out. So green is go, fill it out. And so that's what you're going to see. And we're hope this spreadsheet will be available to you by the time that you see this video.
Yeah, and that's actually, Sutton, that is actually page 7.
Oh, page 7 instead of page 9? Okay.
Yeah, so you can correct that on your slides later.
Yep.
So it's not
Step 5. Okay, so now we're getting closer to the front. Now we're on page 6. And this is the PPP Schedule A. And if you read this, it's going to reference boxes, box 1, box 2. You see that box 4, box 5 down in this. Well, those boxes come from this slide here. So this is the first step we did, but you have to do this before you can do that other worksheet. So when they're talking about boxes, this is what they're talking about. And what Rene has done on this PPP Schedule A that you're going to get, I got a typo there as well, as you can tell we're going fast. What Rene has done, she's tied these different tabs together. So as you work through this, the more that you do in the early is going to populate the later. So hopefully by the time that we get to the application, which is on the 3rd page, which is the thing that you're actually going to turn in, it's going to already be pre-populated for a lot of the information.
That's correct. I think on this page, you're going to end up filling out maybe four of the lines and then deciding on line 13 what you're going to do. So
cool. There's
not that much to fill out. It looks like it's tedious, but because you filled out everything in the previous tabs, it's going to feed over into this one.
Cool. Okay, now here it is. This is the last form, actually the only form that you're actually going to submit in. And as we look at our application,
I think you're going to submit both. I think you're going to submit the PP loan forgiveness calculation form and the PPP Schedule A.
That's good.
The rest is just for
worksheets.
All of our missing 1 and 2. Yeah, the rest are just worksheets for your own good.
Yep. So this is the bottom part of page 3, which a lot of this is already going to be pre-populated from previous forms. The thing that you're going to fill out is the top part, and we're going to help you on Thursday. We're going to walk through all this on Thursday. But the thing to remember is that we have worked from the back of the application all the way forward because of that you're using Renee's spreadsheet. It's tied together, and so those cells are tied together so that once you fill something out in the beginning, it's going to pre-populate here. And this is why if you're just getting this application and you're reading it and starting on page 1 and page 2, by the time you get to here on page 3, it's referencing a whole bunch of things and it doesn't make any sense because all the reference stuff is in the back. And so that's why I hope that this is going to be as simple as possible during this process for you all.
It reads like a tax form. So when you're thinking about, fill in this box, or if this box is greater than XYZ box, then put this amount. So it reads like a tax form. So it's going to be something you're going to need to focus on. It's something that you're going to have to take your time filling out to ensure that it's accurate. So I just encourage all of you to just slow down and take your time.
That's right. So one final comment here, Rene, as we have 2 things. There's this Facebook Live forgiveness application this Thursday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's on the Vanderbloemen Facebook page. I'm going to put a link here that's in the slides so that you can link to it, make sure. Also, I'm going to put a link here that's to Renee's forgiveness spreadsheets so that you have that. many of you all will realize that when you're in that, it's always going to change. Okay. The reason why is because we keep on getting more and more information out. So if this time next week they've come out with even more updates, the spreadsheet that Rene has and is up today will be different than what will be next week. And I'll communicate in a Facebook Live what's changed. And we'll probably go in there going forward after we go live with this and maybe put in red or maybe in a color so that you can see changes, so that because you're going to fill this out, you're going to have a copy of all this, but you're going to want to go back and make sure that there's not something that's tweaked. Okay, again, they're producing, the SBA is producing guidance and things are changing, and this is politics. And so as a result, we're trying to keep up with it as it goes along. I know for Vanderbloemen, we were one of the first groups to get the PPP loan because Rene was so on the ball. And we're going to our 8 weeks coverage period. So not alternative coverage period for payroll costs, but our original date for our 8 weeks ends June 3rd. So it's coming up real quick. So, and we're one of the first groups that got PPP. So I think between now and June 3rd, you're going to see all of this get finalized because obviously we're going to have some people that are going to be applying for forgiveness starting right around June 1st. Any other comments, Rene?
No, that's it. I mean, it's going to be a fun process.
That's right. We're going to be here at Vanderbloemen trying to help you all as much as we can. Things are going to change and we're going to try to keep you up to date. Most of the time we're going to have Facebook Lives on Thursday, and we'll try to send you out as much information as can. I'm sure that many of you all will have questions because this is going to get detailed on your calculation. It's going to be really hard for us to help you. So that's why we'll probably have more and more of these Facebook Lives so we can answer questions, but sometimes it's going to be difficult to help you. Right now, in the past, Rene and I have been emailing back correspondence and answering questions, but some of this stuff is going to be difficult to help you from a calculation standpoint. So that's why we're going to walk through on Friday. We're going to walk through an example. Rene will take us through this and we'll fill out the form, and hopefully we're going to record that. So then you can go back and to use that as a template or as a guide as you fill out yours. So we thank you all. Thank you, Rene, for all your hard work. And we will see you all Thursday, Facebook Live, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you all.
See you. Thanks.